In between all of the Age of Sigmar rules and reviews and updates, I thought we would just go back into a quick, easy 40k video with another unit review. And for this one, I thought we would head into a bit of a savage vibe with the Space Wolves and one of their units that I absolutely love, which is the Thunderwolf Cavalry. Now, as one of the most iconic Space Wolves units, the Thunderwolf Cavalry have certainly gone through their fair share of time in the sun. Back in the old Death Star days of 7th edition, I remember very well because I played them. I believe, if memory serves, they could be practically unstoppable thanks to their 3-up invulnerable save and having an attached character to them to just propel them and their melee into the skies. And then, of course, with the various formations that came in 7th as well, I believe there was one that gave them the ability to advance and charge, and then so they could get into combat super quickly and all swing with their mix of Thunderhammers and Frost Claws and just do a huge amount of damage, be incredibly fast, and just be mind-blowingly durable as well. Now, of course, in 10th edition, a lot of that has changed, but we are back to an edition where we can attach characters to units again, so there are some nice combos that they can get going. They are still very fast, very durable, and they have just in general a very solid profile for their cost. Their datasheet in general is a very good one. As I said, they are reasonably cheap. They are 100 points for 3, so just over 33 points per model, and for that you are looking at a 10-inch move, toughness 6, 4 wounds, and a cavalry unit with a 3-up save. And then of course if you give them a storm shield, which pro tip you should do, they also get a 4-up invulnerable save as well, meaning all but the scariest of enemy firepower will pretty much just be able to be shrugged off. They've also got a really nice OC value of 2, which doesn't sound amazing, but it means that a squad of 3 will get to OC 6, so against things that they may come up against like 5 Terminators, they can steal an objective from under them, which is just a really nice little addition that your opponent may not be expecting from a 3-man squad. And then just in general, whilst they are a purely melee unit, really, you can give them some pistols, but in general you want the storm shield and a melee weapon. And whilst their melee options have been condensed down, which is from a fluff perspective a bit disappointing, you can't take the Frost Claws or the Thunderhammers now, it is all just heirloom weapons. So whilst that is a bit of a disappointment in terms of their theme and their lore and their kind of backstory, for what they actually do, they are still not bad. So they get 4 attacks with their heirloom weapons, which hit on 3s at strength 5, -1 AP and 1 damage. So on the face of it, that's nothing super scary. It's good at killing chaff and light infantry and okay at going into sort of like medium level infantry, but it's nothing amazing. But on top of that, they also get 3 extra attacks from their wolves, which are again strength 5, -1 AP and 1 damage. They do only hit on 4s, but that means that each model can have up to 7 attacks. And then the big thing for them is their datasheet rule, which is Ferocious Charge, and that means that when these guys charge, they get +1 damage on their melee weapons until the next turn. So all of those 7 attacks can be going to 2 damage. And what that means in practice is that 6 Thunderwolves can output a solid 8 or 9 dead Marines, or even kill nearly 3 Terminators. And when you consider Terminators are 35 points each, it means a 200-point squad of Thunderwolves can potentially make half its points back in 1 round of combat, and that is without even counting things like Oath of Moment or any of the other buffs from their detachment that they might have. So they are just totally bare bones, really very decent on the output front, especially on the charge. In terms of their durability as well, thanks to being toughness 6, that is a fairly good breakpoint, and those 4 wounds in addition means they are exceptionally tanky against most things. 10 Terminators, and again this isn't the super scariest of firepower, but 10 Terminators all firing Stormbolters in rapid fire range won't even kill 1 Thunderwolf. They will do around 3 wounds to them, and then in melee, those same 10 Terminators, all with power fists, so this is a bit more of a genuine legitimate threat to them, that will only kill 3 Thunderwolves thanks to the Storm Shields, so a full maxed out squad of Terminators still won't kill a whole squad of 6 of these, so they really can take a good amount of punishment in return for their costs. But moving on from just their plain datasheet, they can get much better thanks to the number of buffs that they can take advantage of. We do of course have Oath of Moment, giving them full rerolls to hit, which is just great when you consider their large number of attacks, and especially on the Wolves attacks which hit on 4s, that reroll is a big help for them. But also, if you are being a purist, they get some incredible bonuses from the Space Wolves Champions of Rust detachment. Now, the detachment rule is Champions of Rust, which got a huge buff in the latest data slate and is now actually really quite great. You used to have to complete certain actions to unlock each of the deeds worthy of Saga, and whilst that mechanic is still present, you now unlock the first one automatically at the start of the first battle round. So you can choose to have either the Saga of the Warriorborn, Saga of the Bear, or Saga of the Beast Slayer unlocked for you straight away, which immediately gives your army, and Thunderwolves in particular, a massive boost to whatever you need. The 3 that you can unlock straight away unlock either Sustained Hits 1, Lethal Hits, or Feel No Pain 6+. Now all of these are brilliant force multipliers, and especially for Thunderwolves, it makes them better into vehicles, it makes them better into infantry, or it just makes them much more durable. So what you choose is entirely up to you, but it's worth noting that added bonus can still stack as you unlock more of the sagas over the game. So if you did manage to get them all, which is tricky, don't get me wrong, it is hard, but if you did get them all, you could potentially get your Thunderwolf Cavalry with Lethal Hits, Sustained Hits 1, a 6-up Feel No Pain, and also +1 to their OC value, making them a really cheap, really good Swiss Army knife style unit that can do anything pretty well. In the Champions of Rust detachment specifically, we also have a very solid set of stratagems, characters, and enhancements that can make them punch even harder. The Relentless Assault stratagem allows you, if you've completed the Saga of the Warriorborn, to charge even if you've advanced. So if you picked that one to be the one you'd completed at the start of the game, you could do a turn 1 advance and charge for a 10-inch move, d6 advance, followed by their 2d6 charge. So you could, with maybe a little bit of luck, but you could net yourself a turn 1 charge with these guys. Also very handy is Go for the Throat, which gives their -1 AP weapons a big boost going up to -2 AP, which is really significant on them. But then also, if you've completed the Saga of the Beast Slayer, so again, one you could choose to automatically complete at the start of the game, if you have that completed, you also get Lance. So essentially, netting you -2 AP and +1 to wound on your melee attacks on the charge, which makes that Strength 5 go so much further, wounding Marines on 2s and most vehicles on 4s rather than 5s. So there are some really nice ways to really customize this unit and know, because you can choose which saga you want to unlock, know how you're going to play them and whether you're going to go for that turn 1 potential charge or just try and get them better at going into Marines and vehicles and have that better AP by going for the Saga of the Beast Slayer as your initial option. So they are really customizable and you can really get them doing exactly what you need them to do on the battlefield. You can also potentially double up on this output with some of the characters you can attach to them, all of which are really good and bring a lot to the unit. They can be joined by 5 characters, which is Canis Wolfborn, Harold Deathwolf, a Wolfguard Battle Leader, a Wolf Lord on a Thunderwolf, or Logan Grimnar himself. Now, Canis is the cheapest at 75 points, whilst Logan is the priciest at 180, and whilst he does bring some solid buffs, I think because of that value, because of that price, I probably wouldn't be adding Logan to them. I just think it makes them too expensive. All the other options hover around the 80 to 100 point mark, so I think keeping the unit cheapish, still under 300 points or around 300 points, gets you that best bang for your buck. And again, we go back to the detachment rule, because whether you choose to unlock the one that gives you sustained hits or lethal hits or the 6-up Feel No Pain, you can massively customize that depending on what character you put with them. So Canis gives them that really useful sustained hits 1 ability, as well as a few mortal wounds after they've charged, and some more anti-infantry attacks with his wolf claws. So you know if you're bringing Canis, you could instead potentially go for the lethal hit unlock from your detachment ability to get both of those buffs up pretty much from the start of the game. Harold Deathwolf instead adds some more anti-elite with his weapon Glacius, and then also the ability to turn the wolves' bites into devastating wounds, which is really good for helping them get through enemy armor and get those mortal wounds with their only -1 AP native. And then I think the Wolflord probably gives you the most flexibility. He's got the Rights of Battle rule, which gives you essentially that free stratagem each battle round, or at the very least a reduced cost on a stratagem each battle round, whilst also boosting your generic threat range with +1 to advance and charge rolls thanks to Speed of the Hunter. So again, if you're going for the Wolflord, you can combo it with the Relentless Assault stratagem and the Saga of the Warriorborn to get yourself advance and charge with +1 to the advance roll and the charge roll to really make sure you are getting that potential turn 1 charge off. He also brings some customization himself because obviously he can take the options in enhancements, and he is very strong when kitted out with a Storm Shield and a Thunderhammer. Frost Weapons is a great enhancement to give him to make his Thunderhammer strength 9 and -3 AP, which is quite scary with his 5 attacks. The final choice is the Battle Leader. He is like a lieutenant in that he can actually be joined to this unit alongside the others above. Well, he can be joined alongside Harold and the Wolflord. He can't be joined alongside Canis because Canis isn't a captain, but he can make a great addition to a little Death Star if you wanted to bring 6 Thunderwolves and say Harold and the Battle Leader. It brings a lot to the unit because he not only brings lethal hits to the unit, but also a once per battle free move. If the enemy has shot at your unit, you can make a d6 move towards the nearest enemy, so you can get up the board even quicker with them. And then if you really did want to combine everything together, you could potentially do 6 Thunderwolves, a Battle Leader with a Frost Weapon, and then say Harold Deathwolf. This would net you a 380 point unit, so a little bit higher than the 300 I was going for, but I think it's very worth it because that's under 400 points and you get 36 toughness 6 wounds, all with a 3-up save and a 4-up invulnerable save, and then on the charge they would have 24 strength 5, -1 AP, 2 damage attacks that hit on 4s with devastating wounds from the wolf attacks, 24 strength 5, -1 AP, 2 damage attacks that hit on 3s from the heirloom weapons, 6 strength 6, -2 AP, 3 damage attacks that hit on 2s from Harold, and then 4 strength 9, -3 AP, 3 damage attacks that hit on 3s with devastating wounds, and then all of them, thanks to the Battle Leader, would have lethal hits, and of course you could also net them sustained hits by choosing the Saga of the Warriorborn, or if you just wanted them more defensive, instead go for the 6-up Feel No Pain from your detachment rule. But what that means, if you went for all offensive output, with Oath of Moment, you could be doing well over 30 damage to an Imperial Knight, so you could easily one-shot it, and you would even have a really good chance of just outright deleting an entire 10-man Terminator squad in one go. So their offensive output is just so powerful with this little kind of Death Star unit. But then if you didn't think you needed that much output and you wanted them to be a bit more defensive, you could instead go for the Saga of the Bear, as I said, to get that 6-up Feel No Pain, which on those 36 toughness 6 wounds with their 4-up invuln is going to make them so horrendously difficult for your opponent to get rid of. So they really can be really speedy, get that extra movement from the Battle Leader, and then be customized to be super offensive or just super defensive for whatever you need them to do on the battlefield. I just think the choice of the Saga that you can make and the choice of leader, as well as being able to double up by having the Battle Leader and either Harold or a Wolflord, makes them so, as I've said many times in this video before, so customizable and so flexible. And you really can, just squeeze the most out of them to get the extra movement or the cheaper stratagems or the sustained hits or the lethal hits or the Feel No Pain. They really just can be built. They're like a build your own Death Star, and they just do it so well. Of course, it isn't just the Space Wolves detachment where they shine, although having that option for lethal hits, sustained hits, or the 6-up Feel No Pain from the get-go is really powerful. They also get a lot of use in some of the other main Marine detachments. The Stormlance detachment, for instance, gives them a constant advance and charge from Lightning Assault, which is really good and means that they can much more reliably get into combat without having to spend the command point on Relentless Assault, for instance. You can, of course, use a command point to get them more reliably with reroll charges from things like Shock Assault, and also get Lance on top of it, so they can punch up really well into a lot more targets. And then even strats like Ride Hard, Ride Fast work on them to make them even more resilient, making them -1 to be hit and -1 to be wounded for a turn, which means, of course, bolters wounding on 6s, and even las cannons wounding on 3s rather than 2s, which is pretty significant for making them as durable as possible. Elsewhere, the Gladius is, as always, a very strong pick as well. The once per battle use of advance and charge from the Assault Doctrine, as well as the ever useful fall back and charge from Tactical, can really help the Thunderwolves get around and make the most of their 2 damage on the charge, while strats such as Honor the Chapter get you a bonus to wound from Lance, and also a pip of AP if you are in the Assault Doctrine, so again, boosting that -1 AP to the much more useful -2. And then likewise, although this isn't specific to the Gladius, but they do of course get that extra durability from Armor of Contempt, which is always really strong on Marine units, but especially on a Toughness 6 4 wound unit, getting that 3-up save to go even further to make sure they are all alive and get up the board so they can get into melee is a really good use of a command point. All in all, I just love the Thunderwolves in a Space Wolf list. They are, I think, very reasonably priced for a fast, very durable, very punchy unit that can really bring all the buffs they want in the right combination and mix-up that you want from characters or detachments to get them into a really strong anti-infantry, really strong anti-elite, really strong anti-vehicle, or just a super durable unit. Depending on what you want, they can be a insanely good distraction Carnifex, albeit a pricey one, but a very durable distraction Carnifex that the enemy absolutely will have to deal with, or by turn 2 at the latest, you will be in their lines, causing carnage, and just tying up a huge portion of their army, thanks to the Thunderwolves' 60mm bases, which means they can spread out and tag a lot of enemy units when they need to. And that is the Thunderwolf Cavalry. As always, what do you make of them, and which characters and detachments and enhancements do you think work best with them, and in what combination? I'd love to know what you think in terms of what characters to attach and what loadouts to give them and enhancements to give them, and which detachment to put them in. I'd love to get some ideas about how you think they are best run, but let me know your thoughts and ideas down in the comments below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me. But until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.